Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to your Thursday night action here for round number 7 of the RaceKraft V8 Vets Championship here in its 19th season. We are getting ready to race over back in America at Sonoma Raceway over on the Californian coast here tonight. My name, Daniel Yeaman, once again back on the microphone this evening. We'll hopefully be joined by Reese Garner, but he's a little busy at the moment, actually. He'll be joining us after wrapping up with the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events ASC series, which is currently on tonight. We're also currently live with Jay Kennedy over there, but hopefully he'll be back in a couple of minutes and be able to call this race together as we did last week at the Red Bull Ring for our Anzac Day race. But let's talk a little bit more about the circuit, of course, here tonight. We have raced here recently at Sonoma, but is, of course, a little different this evening if you're paying attention to the splash screen. But we'll talk about that in a second as we zoom in here to the west coast, just north of San Francisco, a little bit south of California's capital, Sacramento. But we dive in here, and you're not too far away from a San Francisco Bay Area. So this lovely, lush, green-looking surrounds the track, something that we don't actually often see, funnily enough, here at Sonoma. We are generally used to seeing the dirt and the dust around this place, but here's what we're looking at tonight. We are not on the what is now renamed on iRacing, at least the NASCAR short configuration. We are racing at the NASCAR long configuration, otherwise known as the carousel layout by the official Sonoma Raceway website. So this is the full circuit, effectively, despite all the other various layout options that do exist there in the red coloring. So the main difference really being that instead of heading up to turn 4A and taking that 70-degree, or officially it's considered a 70-degree right-hander at the chute, drivers will instead make a bit more of a 100-odd-ish degree right-hand turn a little earlier at turn 4 proper, swing around the sweeping turn 5 down into the carousel at turn 6. You can see there it then joins onto the drag strip here at Sonoma. They'll fire up towards the top of the track once again where they would normally race. They go to 7A on the short course, but they'll jink left off the drag strip, take turn 7 to get onto that chute run, but then take an earlier 90-degree right before then run back down the S's and to turns 8, 9, 10, and 11, as we have seen here before when they came here during the last season of the V8 Vets. And yeah, that's how things are going to roll here tonight. It's just over 4 kilometers in racetrack, or 2.52 miles is what they're dealing with here at this circuit. And speaking of things to be dealing with, here's what we're looking at in terms of the race information for this one tonight. And the main thing being, it is actually our shortest race of the season. Looking at just 37 laps, or 150 kilometers is what we're going up against this evening. And also, crucially, we're actually a little bit under the pump, as it so turns out, but that is partly down to just the fact that we're on a maintenance night with iRacing. So it is 37 lap race, but we are also limited to an hour. So got to be careful of that. If we have a couple of safety cars, we might run time certain this evening. If you care about championship and classification for points, you need to get to 28 laps complete to be classified as per the rules, starting with 50 litres of fuel given the short race distance, and they'll be available though to refill all 100 to the maximum of the tank, 111 litres. And then this is the interesting stuff here. Fuel burn, there's a bit of a range here when it comes to fuel burn per lap, but we're not talking a whole lot of fuel needed to make it home here tonight. And as a result, even though there's 2 compulsory stops, you could basically pit on lap 2. In fact, I think even hypothetically lap 1, and you'd be able to make it home, although you'd still have to then do 2 stops within the compulsory pit window range. It means that there's no such need to really worry about fuel saving, really. If you're even on the high side of the fuel burn at about 3.2 litres a lap, you should still be plenty comfortable to make it home this evening. So this is going to be a little interesting to see how drivers choose to play things out. They can get about 15 to 16 laps on that opening 50 litres of fuel based on the numbers I was able to find in preparation for this evening. And then they don't need to add a whole lot, which is going to be the main difference that we normally see. So whether drivers choose to go for that even or late strategy where they're keeping the fuel pretty low in the car, or if there's drivers that perhaps take a gamble on putting a whole bunch of fuel in the car before we get started tonight. That we'll have to wait and see, of course. Well, a little bit of time before we head into warm-up and the grid, so we'll turn our attention to the championship standings as they came out of that Anzac Day race last week. Now, critically, this is the final time we'll be talking about championship standings without factoring in the drop rounds that count for this season. So Scott Gamble still on top, having didn't win last time out. That was Ken Latta getting his first win for the season on the board, and looking pretty good while I did it. But yeah, Scott Gamble, without drop rounds, pretty comfortably up in front of everyone here at this stage. Chris Miller in behind him in second, and it's Ken Latta there in third place. And then we're quickly into over 100 points off of Scott's points total when you get Dan Hall there in P4. Michael Whiting jumping up to P5. Matt Vanderkram, biggest mover inside the top 10 at least, gaining 3 spots to P6, but only just ahead of Dean Favell there. We've got Stephen Varga, Rob Crisdale and Scott McCune rounding out the top 10 as it stands, with unfortunately drivers further down the pack. Well, in the case of Paul Warwick, David Nash and David Kirby, they're doing good moves up the order. For those, unfortunately, like Stewie Hall and Damien Fisher, rough races last time out, they dropped down. But crucially, that is not how the championship is going to be counted for this season. 2 rounds will be dropped from the Drivers' Championship totals, and what that does mean is when we start looking at that now and we flip over to how the standings look with provisional drop rounds counted after 6 rounds of racing, effectively only count your best 4. It is a little different here in the top 10 even. Scott Gamble is unchanged at the top, but as you can see here, drops down from over 1,000 points to 736. So 1077 down to 736 is how his drops count. And it's Ken Latta who jumps up to second and also slashes his margin. Now, for reference, it was 82-point gap between Latta and Gamble. If you don't count drop rounds, it is cut down to a 27-point margin with 2 drop rounds provisionally counted at this stage. It's going to be exciting there. Chris Miller also is a little closer than he was. He goes from a 64-point deficit to a 51-point gap there, although drops into P3 instead of hanging on to P2. Michael Whiting right in behind moves up to P4 from P5. Pardon me. P5 with no drops, P4 with drops. Now, the pluses and minuses here tonight are compared to their results after round number 5, so before last week's race at the Red Bull Ring for reference. And also critically, these drop rounds mean that we get some drivers who absolutely start climbing up and down the order. And of course, you can see there, Tim Nicol, 21 spots gained by virtue of starting to count drops. Moves himself inside the top 10, which is a fantastic climb for him. I mean, it's stuff we don't often see all too much, but indeed doing it in style from P30 to get there. But he's not quite the biggest mover of everyone in this field. It actually goes to Paul Warwick to climb up 24 spots once you factor drop rounds to be just off this page here in P11 at this stage. Unfortunately for Damien Fisher, it does him no favours. It sees him sliding down towards the back of the order there. And of course, you've got drivers there like Chris Miller there third, Michael Whiting, Matt Vanderkram, moving up more solely into the top 5. Jeff Thomas actually drops down the spot from where he was after round 5 before Red Bull Ring last week to 5th or 6th. Dan Hall drops a couple of spots, but stays in the top 10 there. Also good moves from Blake Delaney and Chad Lewis as well. And that's not the only one we have to worry about here in the V8 Veterans Championship. We also have to, well, not worry, but take a keen interest in how things are looking in and around the battle for 20th place in the standings. With provisional drops counted, this is who is looking to try and fight for a chance to be invited back for our final season in 2024. Pardon me, there might be 2 seasons left in 2024 given where we're at and things. So it's Damien Cairns who's currently sitting in that all-important P20 position at this stage, and he's only a handful of points behind David Nash and Troy Stonestreet there. So 19th, 18th, easily within grasp for him, but he's got not that much of a margin back to drivers like, there you go, David Kirby, 12 points short of being invited back automatically. Robbie Griffiths only 17 points behind Cairns' total at this stage, and Stewie Hall only another 2 points back on top of that. And it is really compressed here with these 2 drop rounds in this current setup and situation. So we're absolutely looking forward to seeing how things go for these drivers in the back half of the season. We've only got 4 races left, and you can still drop 3 of them to figure out where you're going to be in all of this. Well, warm-up kicks on. We're going to head across to the grid now and see how they're lining up for this 7th race of the RaceKraft V8 Veterans Championship for Season 19. Oh, that's a Season 18 there. There you go. That's an oversight from me. Whoopsie daisies. Let's bring this up here on screen though now and show you indeed that it is going to be our 19th season. And it's Scott Gamble who is once again on top of the time charts, getting himself pole position here tonight. Chris Smart, though, with one of his best qualifying results that we've seen in this season so far. So good stuff from Chris there to get onto the front row, although 3/10 back, Scott Gamble finding something pretty solid there in qualifying. Good qualifying result from John Latham and Matt Vanderkran. They'll share row number 2 to kick things off for this evening here tonight. With Ken Latta and Paul Warwick making it an all-yellow and all-fishy motorsports. Row number 3, P5, P6 for those two drivers. Qualifying times here tonight looks like it's definitely a little more spread out than we've seen in other races, but nevertheless, P7 here tonight going to be to Michael Wying with Blake Delaney alongside him to make it 4 fishy cars in a row there inside the top 10. Although to round out our top 10, it will be Travis Hunt there in P10, sorry. Dean Favell in front of him though, for the WKMP 880 machine there. You can see we're almost a second off of what Scott Gamble was able to do, but they stack up pretty tight here in the back half, or the second half of the field, I have to say here. Stephen Varga, David Nash, first driver, was looking outside in on that top 10 positions. There in behind them will be Troy Stonestreet and Michael Stewart looking for a better night here tonight. P15, row number 8 is going to be David Kirby, and once again, it's a fishy lockout of another row with Chris Miller there starting alongside in P16, so we'll watch to see if they can make their moves forward tonight. They're joined by, again, teammate Robbie Griffiths there, the 060. The first car, second off of Scott Gamble's pole time there in 17th place. Scott McKay, I believe that looks to be one of his best qualifying results we've seen all season, to be out of 18th place to kick this one off tonight. And behind them, it'll be Damon Fisher for the Quantum Peckies Racing 505 and Ricky Hyde in the 801 Sim Racing's number 802 to round out our top 20 places here on this grid. P21 went the way of Matt Scholes in the 605 entry for 801 Sim Racing. He's sharing row 11 with Damien Cairns there in the Accelerate Sim Racing 88. P23 went the way of Mark Poynton in the Frog Leap Juiced Racing entry. Paul Burns in the 110. I believe now that might need to be updated. He's actually back with SimTech Performance in WKMP. Nevertheless, out of 24 for Paul here tonight. In behind him will be Greg Sharp in the 747 for WKMP. Speaking of, Rick Vigor alongside him on this 13th row for the Angry Birds Racing guys there in his Mustang. Next of our Froglet cars is going to be in the hands of Rob Crisdale there. P27 tonight is sharing this 14th row with Scott McCune there in 28th. And we're getting almost to the end of our drivers who have qualified here this evening, with Jason Fewins and Darren Goosey going to actually round it out here. So only 30 cars setting times here tonight. And as we look back here, Jay McKnight is our 31st and final driver who is to be here in this split. We have actually a host of drivers that are in the lineup, but they're actually not meant to be here. So it is quite a reduced field, I would have to say, but nevertheless, that is what we're going to see here. So who can make their way forward from this one? We'll have to wait and see how things kick off here tonight. Well, also got ourselves a couple of drivers on Zoom as well, which is good to see. And Dean Favell actually going to provide us with heart rate monitor, energy monitor, and a stress level meter, which is interesting to see there. Travis Hunt on Zoom with the VR headset once again, not too unfamiliar to see that one there. We've got David Kirby there, bottom left of your screen. Looks like he's getting ready to go racing, and we'll hopefully have Michael Stewart back in his seat in a couple of minutes as well. Well, now just waiting on everyone to make their way to the grid, and then we'll get ready to go racing here from Sonoma. Drivers also just getting ready now, getting their final instructions from the race control team. We've got ourselves about a minute and a half, and then we will get ready to go rolling for this race. So, curious to watch here. Once again, Scott Gamble looking strong, thanks to another pole position start in this one here tonight. Jason Fewins also joining us here on Zoom. So it'll be 5 drivers we'll get to check in with across the course of the race. Well, 4 drivers and one set of personnel statistics, which will be definitely interesting to see. That is for sure. As get our gridding, our times, scoring information up on screen for you all, folks, and then we'll get ready to go racing. A reminder, if you missed it, this is what we're expecting in terms of racing formats. It's going to be 37 laps, but we do have a 1 hour time limit to worry about, so drivers may end up being a little bit short if the clock gets us there towards the course of this race. Well, we'll talk about that in due course, though, as we're waiting for the clock to tick on down here before we can get ready to go racing. Got about 30 seconds now before we'll be ready to go here. The race, can Scott Gamble get the run off of the front row once again? He's been hard to beat, that's for certain. Short race as well, meaning not a huge amount of time to get everything done here tonight. That will be a $1 million question. Now waiting for the timer to elapse here, and then we can get racing for this 7th round of the RaceKraft Simulations V8 Veterans Championship here tonight. Scott Gamble, Christian Smart haven't seen this front row this season, so we'll see how we do it here. Get ready. Revs rise, and it's time to get ready to go racing, ladies and gentlemen. 7th round of the RaceKraft Simulations V8 Veterans Championship is go, and it's going to be Scott Gamble, Christian Smart getting away, and it's a pretty steady launch at the front for the two of them, and it will be Gamble who pulls to the lead here. Well, keeps his lead up towards turn 1. It's going to actually be John Latham, though, getting to the inside of Christian Smart as they make the climb up the hill here for this opening lap. We'll see how the drivers go, getting themselves settled in to positions here, because it's going to be an exciting opening lap, and for the first time since we've covered this series, they'll now dip here early on the brakes into turn 4 rather than go this long time, as they'll drop down the hill. And we watch now as the field single file for the most part at the front. They'll take care of themselves. You can see here Latham up the spot, Ken Latta doing a good job here off the start of things up. 2 spots into P3. Christian Smart, on the other hand, unfortunately losing 2 spots on this opening lap. It's been a bit of a slow starter for him here. And here we go, short run on the drag strip off the carousel, but then make this run to the left and then get ready to pull it up, get onto the chute section that they're so familiar with here. Well, it's a very short run. In fact, it's basically one long turn there, because there you go, they take it basically unbroken, and then down the hill they'll come through the S's once again. They're familiar with this, that's for sure, as they start winding on the power, working their way down the hill. Get ready to come back towards the end of this opening lap. So far neat and tidy at the front. Unfortunately, way down towards the back of the pack. Just stone cold last, unfortunately. Stephen Varga, it seems, who's lost a whole host of spots as well. We'll try and pick up what's happening to him shortly in the course of the replay. You've also got drivers like Paul Burns, has lost a couple of spots, but for intents and purposes, the number 110 only down 3 spots at P27. Not too shocking. As Jamie McKnight now scrapping with Varga here at the end of the opening lap. It will be a drag race between the two to the line. It will be McKnight, though, just ahead as they get to that line there. Complete lap 1 of 37 here tonight. Sharp Rob Crusoe just up ahead here, starting to duel. And it's awfully close between the two of them. Into turn 3, they'll come, elbows out. The Sharp just off the apex curve runs into the side of Crusoe momentarily, as they do have a car off in the side there, and unfortunately it's Matt Scholes in the 605 for 801 Sim Racing there. He does recover it, but now unfortunately on his lonesome there at the back of the pack. Meanwhile, up towards the front of the field, looking pretty good here for John Latham. They haven't seen this kind of performance from the Shadow Racing 24, at least. It's a strong start. Obviously, early days in this race. You need to be careful not to say too much and put the mockers on him, because he's had a couple of rough ones this season. But up behind Scott Gamble, looking to challenge here in the opening couple of laps. And on lap 2, no safety car on lap 1, so it will be a opening, or the course of pit window will open here at this lap. So drivers could peel into the pits if they so choose, but in front of the field it will be staying out and running a little longer in this race. As we get on board Latham for a second as he tries to stay after the race leader ahead. Sort of start thinking, actually not even really say thinking, because back there behind the roll bars and the roll cage, you can see there Ken Latta a little further on back, and looks like he's not under all that much of a threat as Rob Crusoe, though, will be the first car to take to the lane. It's going to Jeremy Stephen Varga towards the back of the field, so we'll keep an eye on them to see how they're going in this race. But yeah, pretty neat and tidy up the front. Speaking of things, who's been making a good start in this race so far? It's actually been a reasonably quiet one. Biggest mover is Rick Vigor. Good job to get up 6 spots, Rick, but I mean, yeah, only 6 spots. It's a little quiet by the standards we usually see here in the V8 Veterans. Knight also doing good. There's a couple of drivers there all up 4 spots each, so looking up to 16th from 20th. Damien Cairns is just behind him in 18th. He's made up 4 spots as well. Yeah, to start from 22nd, and you can see there's Scotty McCune's also made up 4 spots. And he's back here in 24th. He's got Paul Burns in the scrappy move behind. He's got Greg Sharp directly in front. And this is certainly a little battle pack here. That might be one of the two Joseph Hewins, drive fifth place in terms of positions gained. Up 3 is there in that battle pack just behind in Evo 67. The man to the Lions guys there. And the sprint bus now is coming down the S's one more time. Early days in this race, of course. Question there in the issue chat as to what VI headset Travis Hunt is using. I believe that is the big screen beyond. Well, he's got his work cut out for him, it looks like, because he's got himself, I will believe, David Nash all over his gearbox at this stage. But we'll pick up Travis Hunt here now on the Zoom feed. I'll bring him up in the background screen, but I'll bring him up here. And so, yeah, that indeed, big screen beyond VR headset that he's using tonight, as we'll see how he handles the second. See that, taking half a hand off the wheel to just ease into it, and then short shift in and short shift back out to try and get on the power and steady the car, and then another short shift here as well, which makes sense. Not a lot of long straights here at Sonoma, as Travis just having a moment there, trying to get the car to hang on. It's just all over the gearbox here tonight in these cars, because about there, here on this drag strip, was run up towards turn 7, almost about the longest corner on the track, as he's having to make space on the inside. I think he is. Yep, David Nash looking to the inside of the 32, and is going to get there as they come down the S. Travis will back out of that one and let him take the spot from now. But man, the 32 JWM SimSports Mustang looking a little hairy there on these opening couple of laps. And yes, some more information from Steve in the YouTube chat. Yeah, absolutely. The big screen beyond is definitely a cool little headset. The fact that it's custom molded, designed to a facial scan you provide to them, so they can mold the inner linings to best suit you. It does unfortunately mean it's very specialised and doesn't really have a huge amount of resale potential in the sense it's not as resellable. You've got to have to find someone with a very similar facial scan and mapping to really be able to sell it on in that case. But nevertheless, it's super lightweight, super compact, and definitely has a place. Hopefully, if you're seeing a second generation of a headset like that in due course, definitely be popular, I reckon, with sim races around the place. So, we're settling in here, it seems, at this stage. So, taking a pick up, we have a couple of lap 1 moments that happened. First of all, apparently, was Blake Delaney in double late fishing motorsports. Not really a crash, just a big pile of smoke. What we can see, though, there in the very background on the right-hand side of the screen, Stephen Varga. No wonder he ended up at the back of the field. Unfortunately, went absolutely nowhere off the start. Go back one more time here on board with Stephen. Oh, no. Hadn't got the car in first. He's stuck in neutral and then finally gets it rolling. But great job, everyone, to get around him either side there. There's not a huge amount of space on his right-hand side there to the wall, but credit to everyone there getting through and getting on with their race and not dying a miserable death. So good to see that everyone going on board here with Varga back live on lap 6. You can see here the short shifting up and down the gears rapidly around this place, and that will be one to watch out for. It's a lovely little carousel section there on this track. Change stuff to worry about. The battles in this field, it is starting to space out toward the front, unfortunately, but got ourselves Ken Latta and Christian Smart, who are two of the closer drivers on track at this stage in the top 10. 3/10, not quite, almost 4 seconds between the two of them. And yes, I'm also keeping an eye on things, and thank you for that thought there, Joe. Get in the way this evening is well on board with the 269 from Fishing Motorsports. Hear what Chris can do. Clearly got 1 lap pace based on what happened in qualifying to get on the front row, but dropped a couple of spots off the start. See here if he's looking to try and hustle after he's tearing it down with the S's there. Smart, really aggro over the first pair. Basically throw it straight, let the car hop. come down to this carousel section. A little bit more sedate, perhaps, as they try and really flow the car through. Meanwhile, Matt Scholes is coming from the pits with severe, unfortunately, spin on lap 2. So that is all that's happened in this case. Just a couple of cars, 4 of them to be precise, taking the pit stop early on in this race. Let's get the first compulsory stop out of the way. Looking at the numbers, for Rob Crisdale and Jamie McKnight, they did go in and they did do a fairly short stop. 13 seconds is tyres and maybe another 10 or so litres of fuel. Now on top of that, Jamie McKnight behind him, a little bit more like 18 seconds, definitely adding a bit more fuel into the Fishy 027. Not enough to make it home at this stage. And then you've got drivers like Stephen Barger there at full service pretty much. Again, the same for Matt Scholes as well. So stuff that seems to be going on there. So they can make it home pretty much on fuel, but they will be limited by compulsory pit stop being required as well to wrap things up in this race. Ladder and Smart close together. You've also got this Fishy pairing in Paul Warwick and Michael Whiting currently close together here for the 6th place stage on the track, and to see how these guys sort this one out. So watch, of course, we'll have to get there. Don't worry about that one for now. Just see other battles on the track at this stage. You've got Dean Favell, he's actually got a bit of margin behind. It's more David Nash to be straight on a battle pack of about 4 or 5 cars at this time. Travis Hunt in behind, still keeping him honest. Then you've got Troy Stone Street there in WKMP's 44, David Kirby and Michael Stewart on the back of this group. And we should probably also throw in Chris Miller there. And that's practically the battle pack as it stands for this time. At the back of David Nash's car is Mark Poynton next into the pit lane in the 29 for Froglet Juiced Racing. Get in there and get that one sorted for him. Especially tries to climb up turn 3 and 3A. Why they didn't call that one turn 4, I'll never know, but hey, it's America. They like doing some interesting things with corner numbering conventions. And then with the numerous layouts that this circuit has, you have a lot of A's. A corners around the circuit, because this here on the carousel, this is turn 6. Then we're coming up to, don't count this kick off the drag strip, that's not a corner, because there's no marshal close to the right. We'll hit turn 7 here. Now I don't know if I actually count this as just one corner. I think you might just one marshal supposed to be one corner. Technically the short course goes, that's 7A, but then we're down the X is 8. There's 9 somewhere in here, and then 10. 9A, there's another configuration that goes straight and makes a right-left chicane, like this more flowy run down the hill. The number of layouts here at Sonoma is quite impressive, to say the least. That's for sure. There's Hunt now challenging to the outside into the final corner. National park it up and protect the middle of the road, and does get a nice enough drive off the hairpin to not have to worry about it into turn 1. By the looks of things for all. Honestly stacked up here at this stage in the race. Here, who else we've got in the pack? We've got Kirby in this group. Let's go on board with 307, and we can also pick him up on here in a second. See how he's working the wheel in the middle of this group. He's going to go up the inside of Stone Street straight as we go on board. Looks like the man was paying attention when I said that I was going to pick him up. Stone Street already dropping behind, and that is going to be place taken for 307. He gets straight back into it, gets onto the inside line here through the carousel. You can see them nice and low in 4th gear, try to find some traction to and power out the other side here and build speed. Short grab of 6th gear on this little run up to turn 7, though he's in hot. He's in very hot. Is David Kirby, and unfortunately, that's going to allow Stone Street a chance to get back past, but side by side through the start of the S's. He will concede on this occasion there, so unfortunately, a little mistake there, hurting him in the process. Back to the number 13, he will go now. Stewart behind. Let's see. And saying that, was not exactly with us on Zoom, it seems. I'll bring it up just to sort of show you what I mean. Unfortunately, Michael Stewart is apparently a ghost in his own cockpit. You can see he's definitely driving the car at this stage, but it would appear that don't quite have Michael. He's using a virtual background. It's not playing well with his shirt, perhaps tonight or something. Maybe too dark of a shirt. It's decided he's blending into the background there. So Michael Stewart here with us virtually only this evening, rather than also having a pseudo physical presence as right on board here through this middle section. Perhaps right. See how they go. So through second, very short gears, and then already into third quickly, up to fourth, and not so much of a short shift there through turn 5 this time round. Goes back in gear to fourth, and then try and ease it on the power again through the carousel as I head to the drag strip. And I've got a ping in the background, and I can see that I have indeed been joined by Reese Gardner, who's been able to free himself from dirt commentary duty. So great to have you back again here, Reese. 10 laps into this one. It's ticking by nicely, but we are under a bit of a crunch time here as well, thanks to maintenance incoming tonight. So it's 37 laps or an hour. We'll have to see how we go. Was indeed, yeah, so definitely committed all the way in. Blake Delaney, also one of our first drivers from the front of the field to get a stop done. There's a small group at the back of the field that chose to pit early on in this one, but yeah, definitely our first front runners at this point in time. Speaking of front runners, I'm going to check in for a bit, but it's been promising for in the early part race. Scott Gamble has apparently just decided to make a mockery of John Latham's challenges. Now about that, nearly half a second on lap 8, another 4/10 almost on lap 9. Small win for John Latham there on lap 10, basically equalising there, and being told apparently got some issues with sound. Thank you for that, Joe. We'll try and make sure Reese is in the mix. Definitely need to.
A late shoe-in for this round. I'm usually on every other week. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of staffing issues, so I've had to jump in and keep Dan company here tonight. But yeah, Scott Gamble has been nothing short of the class of the field in this season of V8 Vets. You know, he's put on some fantastic drives, and this is just another one of them. Seems like there's not much response anyone has to this guy, but there is a few things to say about the battle for second. Ken Latta up 2 spots at the moment and trying to chase down Latham for that coveted runner-up place.
Yes, and turns out I found the problem as to why you weren't coming through. I had that muted, and I was going to unmute that in due course, and then kind of just introduced you and didn't press the button. So yeah, that was entirely a me thing, not a you thing. So we'll put that one down as a production oopsie days, and I could be a touch louder. All right, we can certainly make me a tiny bit louder too. We'll certainly make sure I'm not being drowned out there. And if I need to turn things down, I can turn the racing down as well. So sorry for that. That's apparently a bit of a blunder there. But looking at John Latham here, see how he goes. He's got Ken Latta and Christian Smart not too far behind, and a handful of cars there also coming to the pit lane. So get close to the end of the opening fuel. They should be able to do 15 laps on the starting 50 litres around here, so drivers coming in a little early. This is though right on the money for doing an even stop stint in this one, so 12 thereabouts. Looks to be also what's in the mind of drivers here tonight at this stage.
Yeah, looking like it. Just got to wait and see when the first pit stops come in for our leaders, as Latham continues to hold off Ken Latta, but he's run a bit deep in the hairpin there, out into the marbles slightly, straightens it up, gets the run out of the corner, but Latta might be smelling blood. Into the pits we go with the 050 and the 180. That's Paul Warwick and Matt Vanderkraan, both drivers that have had some success this season so far. Vanderkraan having a great drive at Watkins Glen a couple of rounds ago, and looking forward to seeing how this pit stop turns out for him. Scott McKay also jumping into the lane.
Also note there that I'm not sure what's happened between the two of them, but Paul Warwick actually passed him there on the pit entry once they got through the single file sort of entry chute. And Van der Kraan a little slow there, it seems, on the lane, so I'm not sure how that one's how that's happened there, but nevertheless, it is what it is. We're good to see now drivers who actually have already stopped in this race, such as Michael Stewart. In behind is Troy Stonestreet with cars in and out of the pits. It's actually going to flick us here as the order changes around, but it's sort of one of our closer fights on the road at this time, as it's now everyone but the top 8 who has pitted so far in this race.
Yeah, I get the feeling that Van der Kraan might have found that he was a bit fast on the way into the lane, and he's gotten a black flag for entering the pits too fast. That's why he let Paul Warwick by. He was slowing down, trying to get his pit stop, his overall pit lane time to the delta needed to not have a black flag, and was unsuccessful. So Van der Kraan having to hold for quite some time. Re-emerge a long way down.
So pick that up for everyone here, Reese. So yeah, coming into a pit entry. Oh, it's in hot. Now the entry line is just here.
He's a bit too fast there, I think.
Oh, did the limiter not engage, perhaps?
Yeah, looks like
it. There it is. There we go.
Yeah.
Just the limiter barely coming on there. Well after the cones. We'll go one more time here because we can actually see the pit limiter when it engages here on the dash on the wheel. And so it comes around here looking for it, slows down, but it's like, yeah, just limit the button didn't work, and then you can see he's coasting, but still in normal drive, and only now the limiter comes on, unfortunately, for Matt Van der Kraan.
Yeah, that's tough for Matt Van der Kraan, running so well before he came into the lane. Meanwhile, this is the fight for Van der Kraan now. He's a lap down, and our leader Scott Gamble has just strolled past him. This thing stand. Such a twisty circuit, this Sonoma Raceway layout. I'm amazed that the drivers even have the mental space to focus on strategy with how much work you have to do around this place.
I mean, yeah, we usually see these drivers tackle what is now called, I mean, the fun thing here at Sonoma is the whole game of the naming convention and stuff as it used to be the NASCAR. It's now called the NASCAR Short configuration, but the Cup historic back and forth with the layout naming here. So thankfully these days this is now going to be called forevermore. At least I certainly hope forevermore. That make my life easier. The NASCAR long layout. It's definitely a unique look. We don't often see these cars having to lumber around here, pull up on the anchors, and then make this run down into turn 4 towards the carousel. But yeah, it's certainly a track where, as you said, 100% commitment, 100% energy needs to go into this one. There is no rest. You get maybe 5 seconds here on the drag strip. That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it, isn't it? The run up to the hairpin, and then you have to deal with a never-ending sequence of turns all the way around this circuit. Chris Smart, meanwhile, up into 5th spot now, having just taken his pit stop. Ken Latta in 6th right now. The top 4 have still not made their way in.
No, so this should be about the last lap these drivers can do without needing to stop. They could maybe stretch a 16th out of it, but nope, that's going to be a commitment from Scott Gamble. So into the lane here will come John Latham, now 4.5 seconds back, will also pit. And then it's back to Dave Kirby, who was in the mid-pack, in around the teens, before all the pit action happened. So that'll be where he now surely comes in, unless he's been able to sneak an extra lap of fuel. Yes, he has. And same for teammate Chris Miller. So the Fishy Motorsports drivers sitting in the middle of the pack have been able to find a little bit more fuel to start this race off. And they will hopefully make something of it later on in the race. Of course, though, actually, let me bring up the race info I was able to get ready beforehand. Just going to throw that up there. Let's just turn those off for a second. Here's some of the numbers we were talking in terms of fuel for this one here tonight. You don't really need to get much, no more than 70 litres across 2 pit stops to be able to make it home here based on the fuel burn numbers. And you could even make that as low as 64, 65 litres and be able to make it home safe. So not a lot needed, as indeed Maybe
Yeah.
something here that caught your attention?
Yeah, Gamble coming out of the pits behind Christian Smart and John Latham. A longer pit stop for Scott Gamble. So he's taken a bit more fuel on board, it seems. Now he has to try and find his way past on track. Christian Smart, remember, started in second spot, and he got a better stop than Ladder as well. It was 18.6 second stop for Ladder, 15.3 for Christian Smart. So that tells us that Smart is going to have a longer pit stop later on when he comes in again.
Bring them up here, actually. Yeah, put them up next to each other in the tower. Yeah, 15-second stop for Smart, 21.3 for Gamble, 18.3 for Ladder. As David Kirby comes to the pits in the 307, as to be expected, having done the extra lap compared to everyone else, but Chris Miller's going to go +2 apparently on the field. So some serious fuel mileage being extracted from the fishy 666 here tonight, Reece. Although hopefully this doesn't come back to bite him later on by having to drive around and make sure he doesn't run out of fuel here on this 17th lap.
Yeah, well, he seems to still be driving hard, so yeah, that's just a short shift. That's what you'd expect coming through that corner. Just watching an onboard here at Sonoma is an event in and of itself. It's amazing seeing how much work the driver does, how much they have to manage the 600 plus horsepower coming out of the engines and the rear wheels of these cars. But we do expect Chris Miller to be coming in on this lap. He's just got the S's to go. As far as battles go, there aren't that many out there at the moment. Gamble's still chasing down Smart, but they remain within a second of each other. I don't know how much of a chance there is that Gamble's going to pass Smart on track before the next pit stop, but here comes the stop for Chris Miller. Diving to the left. Let's hope that he has the pit limiter at the ready.
Thankfully it's only been the one, and yeah, that looks and sounds like that's definitely on limit. And yep, headlights flashing. We'll confirm that one there for you. So with all of this said and done, John Latham will come out as your current race leader in all of this here after a short opening stop. And as I said, the main thing here going to be how it goes. Pardon me, it hasn't quite worked as intended. I was hoping to pick up Scott Gamble, not Christian Smart, but looks like apparently tied that one there. Gap from Scott is not too far behind in all things saying. In fact, he's literally right there. I was wondering if maybe he'd be a little further ahead, but no. Trapped up behind Christian Smart 4 now. We'll see though if maybe either takes it easy or whether he chooses to maybe just settle in for a gentle run around here at this point. 18 seconds in the box for Chris Miller, and looks like he's away once again. And that should be fairly straightforward. Given that they only need about 65, 66, whatever litres you want to put into it exactly. And yeah, as Joe Mahone saying in our YouTube chat tonight, Reece, short stop coming up for Gamble, and yeah, it's probably no more than 10 to 12 seconds at his second and final stop where he's ever drivers here. Probably more in the 15 to 20 second range.
Yeah, so now the question is for Gamble, can he afford to sit behind Smart? Because, he's obviously looking quicker. Every single lap that he sits behind, he'll just be bleeding time, and that might put him in a bad spot when he gets his next stop up and away. This is the battle just inside the top 10. Meanwhile, Troy Stonestreet and Michael Stewart, pretty similar pit stop times between these two. But I gotta say, it's been a good race from the both of them. Stewart and Stonestreet both starting outside the top 10, gradually working their way in, and this is looking like a nice battle brewing.
Indeed, yes. As I've had a bit of
Gamble got into the back of Smart just a second ago. Hit him wide a little bit, but he's fallen back into line. You can tell that the aggression is dialing up here for the championship leader, trying to the inside, but Smart will have the late apex and the better run down the drag strip. this is starting to get intense. I think Gamble's decided that now is go time, because you see Kenneth Latta starting to gain on them here too.
I think also critically is the gap to the leader.
Oh!
There's Smart deep through turn 7. And Scott not too happy about that one there. Headlights ablaze as he tries to sort this one out.
Christian Smart is struggling at the moment, isn't he?
Hold a second.
Oh,
trouble for Jamie McKnight. It's reported blown motor.
We might see a safety car out of this.
Waiting to see if that's the case here, unfortunately, in this one. Yeah, critically for Christian Smart, this is probably the chance, keep fighting this one like the devil. John Latham's going to like the fact the gap is growing in behind him. He's lost about a second as Christian Smart in defending from Gamble at this stage as we're into this second half of the race. Lavelle comes to the pits, Stone Street to the pits. These drivers here looking to see if we're going to get this safety car, and indeed we do. Race will be neutralised, and it's going to be cars in the midfield taking advantage and diving to the pit lane by the looks of things.
Yep. Good stuff there. It's going to be a big advantage for drivers in the midfield as we see a long line of cars come in for their second stop. Stone Street, Griffiths, Flavelle, Nash, Poynton, Hyde, Vigor, Burns, McCune, Cairns, Varga, Goosey, Sharp, Fisher, Matt Scholes coming in as well. Everyone from 13th down to 29th has made their way in, and Matt Vanderkraan as well. This will be a good recovery here for Vanderkraan. The caution would have been what he was hoping for. He'll be able to, at the very least, get his second stop out of the way and potentially find his way back up the order after taking that pit speeding penalty. Let's see what he can do from here.
Yeah, well, gets him, as I said, right back into this race. As we'll still have to get his service done, but yeah, just going to bring out there's Troy Stone Street, P13 on road now, and the first car out after stopping as the leaders come in now. So, has John Latham been able to keep speed up and maybe gain a little bit of time, or is the three behind as they come in with absolutely nothing to spare amongst them, been able to make something of it? And also critically, have these guys maybe been coasting to save fuel, or have they been pressing on? Stone Street was a little far back. You can see he's at the top end of the circuit here. I don't think he's going to get through and get too many spots in all of this, because there's, as I said, short stops now as we wait to see who's going to be the first off the pit lane.
Yeah, we're expecting the shortest pit stop to be Scott Gamble, who's picked up a tiny bit of damage to his front bumper from getting into the back of Smart. He is already away. 10.9 seconds is the stop on my end, 10.7 on the time there. It looks like Smart and Latham with the longest pit stops of the top four. Latham's going to re-emerge in fourth spot. Latta back up to P2. And oh no, Smart makes a mistake coming into turn 1 there. Latham's going to have to slow down and not pass him. That's a little bit of a mishap that Christian Smart wouldn't have wanted.
No, that's a little bit interesting there. I get it. You're trying to, I guess, push on a little bit, but unfortunately, coming undone for him almost there. And thankfully, nothing too much of it in that one. So the field will now catch up and collect in behind them. And as you can see here, basically everyone's last stop lap is now very much done. So it looks like it's going to be pretty much a 16, 17 lap run here to the finish, depending on exactly when we're going to get this race restarted. I presume at the end of 22, not likely to be here on number 21 currently. So I'm going to try and see if we can find, unfortunately, when exactly Jamie McKnight's engine went pop, based on what he reported to the race control team. Yeah, it was on his lap 19. Let's see if we can get it to pick up here. Yep, there we go. And go to our next RaceKraft Simulations replay of the night race.
Yeah, so coming down the hill on the downshift and pop, there it goes. Looks like he was there he was in second gear there. I think he might not have intended to have gone down to second. Yeah, just too much in the way of revs there. The engine just gave up. I've seen drivers going through that corner in third gear, so maybe a misselection there by Jamie McKnight.
Maybe, but he will get that car fixed up and he will rejoin the race. 31 actually hasn't gone anywhere in this one now by the grand scheme. He's just seeing here, yeah, he's classified a lap down our race leader. So that will now require another safety car to give him a chance back into this one. There's a bit of stuff being negotiated, and it's Paul Burns to be, I presume, in front of Rick Bigger. So just some stuff here in the back of field based on where people were at coming in and out of the pits. So the field is now where they should be. It's a matter of just waiting before we can go green once again here, Race.
Yep, waiting with bated breath. We're expecting that the race will go green at the end of this lap. It looks like everyone's back up to speed. McKnight now a lap down on the rest of the field after getting his car repaired. Dean Flavel running up the numbers there on his dyno there. Certainly looks like he's been burning some fuel of a different kind as well.
Yes, I mean, haven't had a chance to get on top of the information here. So this will be one to watch out later in the race. Maybe see if our heart rate picks back up again later on in the race. See how much things change there. Here's our one driver who's providing us with something a little different in terms of a Zoom feed this evening. So be keen to keep an eye on that one. The confirmation from race control, we are going to go green here at the end of lap 22. So it will be a 15 lap race to the finish. Just noting our race clock at this time, we've got 23 minutes left. Pardon me, sorry. No, 24 minutes left in this session. So don't forget that we may go time certain. This safety car here could put us in jeopardy. 15 laps to do, 23 odd minutes to do it. Currently lapping in and around the 1 minute 30s or thereabouts. 31s, 32s in the mid-pack at least.
So 15 times 1.5, that's around 22, 23 minutes. So it's going to be borderline.
Well, that'll make things interesting. And has anyone maybe underfield thinking we're not going to make the distance, or are we going to be in a little bit more of an orderly state here for this one? Either way, it's basically, I think we'll have to say in that case, it is going to be a green flag. We'll get our laps in if there's no more safety cars. I think would be the expectation here now on this one. But just wait for Scott Gamble to choose when to go. Every second he waits drains time off this all-important race clock.
Yeah, but it also saves a bit of fuel if drivers behind him have underfueled. Interesting to note that when they were catching up to the pace car, I heard Kenneth Latta clutching, so that might not mean much. We'll see as the race goes green again, and Gamble with a pretty much perfect restart there, leading by 0.6 of a second from Ken Latta, and he's back where he's most comfortable.
Yep, gets a little bit of margin away here on this race restart. 7/10 and some. Good here. Stars the field. Makes their way up the hill. Michael Whiting's done a nice job actually to jump up to the back of the top 5, and he's got John Latham and then Christian Smart and Ken Latta as teammates ahead. He's got teammate and Paul Warwick behind. Fishy Motorsports definitely bringing the people to the party. And in all of this, we're going to have to start remembering to think about our Chubby Buns Burgers driver of the day to actually nominate once again as well here, Reese. So that'll be something to keep an eye out for. It's further back in the pack. We're getting awfully close, but we're going to stay single file, at least this far back in the field for now.
Yep, just try and nail the exit. Don't go too hard into these corners. It's all about rhythm and keeping momentum up in this section. If you push too hard, you'll understeer right off into the gravel, and oh goodness, Michael Stewart nearly having a bit of a wobble himself. He's under attack from Dave Kirby here. Kirby's been looking quick all night. Blake Delaney with them as well. A look to the inside from Kirby, but it's not going to happen. at least for the time being, Stewart will nail the throttle out of the hairpin and keep it going for now.
And maybe backed it up a tiny bit on the way in as they go into the 1 minute 30s for Scott Gamble on that restart lap. Do more of those, please, if we can, to keep things going. In there. Was under pressure in the final sector, but looks to have just enough of a margin now, Michael Stewart, to maybe just keep looking forward as they come over the rise at 3A once again here. 24, and then try to get these cars pulled up going forward as they're all stacking up in behind Dean Flavel. Speaking of which, how's his heart rate longer going? Yep, it's definitely picked up all right.
9th place with an angry pack of cars behind. It's certainly going to be an issue. Look at that, it's above 100 BPM, and he's certainly burning off the calories now. I think that he'll be able to have a meal from Chubby Buns Burgers by the end of this one and not cost himself anything. So let's see if he can put the power down and gap these guys, because Michael Stewart is still looking for it behind. And further up in the field, it looks like John Latham and Christian Smart having a right old battle here for 3rd place. Smart going defensive versus Latham, and Michael Whiting's going to say, hello boys, I'm here. Around the outside of the start-finish stretch, Latham's going to have to give him space here, and a little bit of contact between the two of them. Whiting is going to have the inside for the next corner here. Can he get up into 4th? Easy does it. Latham around the outside getting a slightly better exit, but you don't want to be side by side through this next section.
Latham forces the issue up the inside at turn 3. Can he park it though for this crossback? No! Both cars are going to find the inside wall. And then, the region's going to cause problems.
Stone Street. Troy Stone Street gets collected by John Latham as he comes back onto the circuit. Latham is now spun. The field's going to have to make their way by him. Stone Street now dealing with some heavy damage to his front left. That's disastrous.
Oh, man. Yeah, literally worst possible thing there. It seems just the first driver on the scene, and the left front has taken an absolute drilling there. We're going to have to go to another one of our RaceKraft simulations replays and pick that apart from what he saw there. Fortunately means he's in P6 still, but now got, not looking too pretty there, and he'll be now potentially holding up the rest of the pack as we start here with this one here. They try and get up the inside of each other.
I think Latham, this is the onboard from Stone Street, he basically had nowhere to go, did he? The thing is with Latham versus Whiting, as we get another view of it here, could have gone a bit more to the inside on the exit, but he'd already committed to the corner by that point. So you see at the point of contact there, Latham was already sliding. He'd gotten on the power a bit too hard. The tyres were overcooked after flinging it up the inside of Whiting. The slide starts, Whiting doesn't have the space to get through.
Yeah, and then unfortunately it's a case of just trying to hang on to it, and then just massive crack there. So nasty, to say the least, for everyone involved. Yeah, Whiting, solid left front damage. Latham down the field, let alone how much damage he's picked up and all of that. As that's Chris Miller in the background, Sands the boot. I'm not sure when he's picked that up, but so he has.
Yeah, righto. That's not ideal. He's still keeping himself right in the midst of this battle. The Fishy Mustang making its way around the almost stricken Fishy Commodore of Whiting, who's going to blend out and let his teammate through. Looks like Funky still having a pretty good race, boot damage aside. David Nash now the next car behind Michael Whiting, and looking to take advantage of, I would assume, a pretty rattled driver in the number 520. He'll go defensive on the way into the hairpin and keep David Nash behind just for a little longer. Nash runs a bit deep. That allows Rob Crisdale a chance to get alongside. Crisdale, one of the earliest drivers to take his first pit stop, and he's been making waves up the field. Started in 27th and could be looking at P14 here.
Certainly wants it, does Crisdale. And yeah, indeed. Looking for us. Oh, Chris Miller's just called in, and he's literally just ahead of us here. He's asking to lap 24. I'm going to presume that's where he's been hit.
Yeah, he still had a rear wing at the start of lap 24, and I think Nash might have run into the back of him. It was no, lap 25 he still had his rear wing. Same on lap 26 as well. I didn't see anything happen on lap 24. Interesting. Okay, so I've just gone back and looked on my end, Dan. Apparently, on the exit of the turn on my end, coming onto the drag strip on lap 26, the rear wing just disappears.
As you do. All right, then.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
It's definitely a novel one, that's for sure. Yeah, to the inside of Michael Stewart, and it looks like it's going to be job done to get to P8, or the 008. Tries to pick up the spot. So, answer of where did Chris Miller lose his rear wing? Lap 26,
it's a mystery.
Lap 26, it seems. Why? Not entirely clear.
Yes. I mean, there were probably some taps that he got from behind by Dave Kirby. But, sorry, not Dave Kirby. David Nash. My apologies. Just a series of small taps to the rear, potentially just eventually making the rear wing say, no thank you, I'm done. As Delaney now trying to find his way past Dean Flavel. WK&P Super Cheap Auto Mustang is looking a little bit leery at the moment, struggling a bit for rear end grip coming onto the drag strip. Delaney will sit behind coming into the hairpin, which is one of the few places where you can realistically attempt to pass around here.
Yeah, it is going to be one of the best chances if you can make it work, but also if you can steady a nice run down the S's, maybe get something to come up here, back end of the lap. There's also a possibility, I guess, of getting something to work in this area. Get on the inside at this final hairpin, but no dice in this one so far. So I guess
here he comes, though.
There you go.
Nicely done. Blake Delaney looks supreme coming into the end hairpin.
That he does. Looks like he's found his happy place. He'll now go after Troy Stone Street and that P6 spot. Who's actually not doing too bad despite the damage on that front left corner. As he tries to consolidate, which I believe would be his best result since we started broadcasting split one for the V8 veterans. If it's not, then I've forgotten the better one for you. My apologies, Troy, for that mistake in that case. As Rick Viggers just tumbled down the order in the 014. And that would be because, unfortunately, it's a pile of smoke there for the Angry Birds Racing Mustang.
Yeah, oh man, Angry Birds Racing aren't having a great time here tonight, are they? We saw Matt Vanderkraan getting his pit speeding penalty, and now Rick Vigor getting tapped by Greg Sharp on the way into the first turn here. Sharp on the inside, turns in, and unfortunately there's a car there on the inside, so I think Vigor won't hesitate in calling that one into race control.
Already been there, done that. I was just see if we could get a better angle of it, and then see if we get an absolutely shocking angle of it. You know, trusty chopper cam, that does say quite a bit more about that one. And rear tyres might not appreciate Rick's efforts to keep that one pointing in the right direction as well.
Yeah, Sonoma is a track that eats tyres. You know, you're turning constantly. It's a rough surface. You want to try and keep the tyres cool as much as you can. You spin up the wheels trying to do a flick spin, and that's going to affect your pace for a few laps at least, and certainly make the rear end unstable. Not that it needs any help. The rear ends are already quite unstable in these cars. Let's check out the battle for 17th meanwhile. Ricky Hyde is chasing down David Nash here. Nash has lost touch with Whiting and Chrisdale Miller Poynton and starting to fall into the clutches of this pack here. But Paul Burns is pressuring Ricky Hyde. So the question of which car is going to be the first to get to David Nash remains to be seen.
Yeah, that one there for Ricky up through 3A, definitely looking a little dicey. Gave Paul a chance to really close up, but saying that, through this dip into the carousel gap, stabilizing us. Oh, John Latham is apparently going well from bad to worse for him.
Oh
In the carousel further on back. He just called out over the radio that he was sorry, and we find him off the road as a result.
Yeah, it was, well, Greg Sharp had his turn of hitting a car around. Now he's the one who gets hit around as Latham tries to dive up the inside, but Sharp had already committed to the corner. It looks like there wasn't really sufficient overlap to justify going side by side there. It was a big dive from Latham. Such a shame. You know, Latham started third. He was in contention for a podium, especially after the second pit stop there, but it's all gone wrong for him.
Yeah, you can say that again, unfortunately. Well, these incidents are breaking the pack up. Still got Stone Street leading the battle for the train for 7th on back. Delaney now checking out ahead. As you can see there, it's Stone Street through to probably Rob Crisdale, I'd say. Yep. Maybe tag on guys like Poynton and Whining, but they're floating in and around a second off the back. So it's really getting interesting more in and around where David Kirby is in this bunch. Speaking of that, might even go on board with Mr. Kirby here if we can, which probably can indeed. We have him here on Zoom tonight. See how it's looking for him as he's a little wide as we just do so through the carousel.
Indeed. Well, they're battling hard ahead of them, though. You can't see it because of the rearview mirror, but... oh, wow, that's very deep there for Troy Stone Street. Comes back on track behind, almost alongside Dave Kirby. That would have been a big scare there. I noticed it was going wrong for Stone Street. He locked up coming into the carousel and was wide on the exit. We saw that, but looks like he just completely missed it coming into the back straight hairpin.
Yeah, we'll probably go back and have a look at that one there, I think, and just see if we can pick up what it is in particular. Bails out pretty much of that entire run through the hairpin. It's going to let about 4 or 5 cars go in the process. It does scream to me that, unfortunately for Troy Stone Street, he fought valiantly. That car now has got some serious issues and is starting to let him down a whole bunch here. So let's actually go to him here real quick from this one. He's already wide through the carousel and then just going to completely run wide on him here.
Yeah, just misses the braking point. You see, that's way too late, and he'll be thanking his lucky stars there's all that runoff on the outside of the corner. The sort of bleed off area for the drag strip, because if there was a wall there, that would have easily been race over for him.
Yeah, well, just needs to soldier on to the end of this one here. Just heard over the radio, David Nash, a post-race points penalty coming his way. I heard that one correctly. It was a lap 27 incident. Actually double check if that's what we've received from receiving information. The answer is no, we haven't yet, but I think I heard that right, so I'm going to with confidence put that up on screen there.
Yeah, it looks like it might have been for the contact with Michael Whiting on lap 27 at the carousel. Nash just hit Whiting on the way in, and Whiting didn't crash, but he did go for a big slide as, okay, the number 29, Rob Crisdale. Sorry, Mark Poynton, my apologies. I am amazed that he even made the apex there. It looked like he was so late on the brakes.
That was a send and a half, but it works. Gets him up into P13 ahead of Stone Street, who now really seems to be in limp home mode. Does only have to do another 4 or 5 laps of the circuit, so it's got that going for him. 5 laps.
The question is
7 minutes. We should get.
Yeah, well, it's just gone under 7 minutes remaining now. I think we might just get the full race distance in.
Scott Gamble's lap times. He's doing in the mid-31s. So as long as we've got... Well, actually, I mean, so long as we've got more than... Actually, yeah, we will get it in. Because there has to be... As long as there's more than 4.5 minutes, basically, which there's going to be more than 4.5 minutes when we get to the line here this time round. It doesn't matter if we go under 6 minutes remaining. is what you need to get 4 laps in perfectly, so long as it doesn't decide to cut the race a lap short, which it won't, as long as we don't cut under. So indeed, unless there's a safety car, we are indeed going to be at 4 to go as Troy Stone Street's drop back down the field and tragically continues. I really just feel like watching him just struggle for every last little bit that car's got, and it doesn't have much to give him.
Yeah, and you know, it's not great timing for Stone Street either, because you know it's pretty much the end of the race now. If he jumps into the pits and gets repairs done, then he's going to finish plumb last anyway. So he might as well stay out and try and resolve something from this, but it can't be fun for him making his way around such a corner-dependent circuit in a car that doesn't seem to like corners very much at the moment.
I also thought I'd bring up on screen live championship standings now that we're in this back half of the season. Also potentially calculating for drop rounds as well, although with some of the extra bonus points, it's not a perfect representation of the season standings. But critically for Scott Gamble, this is going to push out his championship margin quite nicely here once again. He'll extend it to a 35-point gap. And so the top 10, there is going to be some moving and shaking though. Matt Vanderkraan, tough night for him. See him drop down from 5th to 7th. Jeff Thomas down from 6th to 9th. But Paul Warwick, Dean Favell making up spots on points, along with Dan Hall and Blake Delaney as well in all of this. Dan Hall, was he even here tonight? I don't think he is.
No, he's not.
So by virtue of it, oh, never mind. We'll talk about that later.
Ricky Hyde. Oh dear, Ricky Hyde and Stephen Varga. Evidently a big coming together between those two. The hairpin. Where was Ricky? He was, oh man, Hyde and Varga were 18th and 19th at the time, at the very least, across the start-finish line. And they will have some big damage here. Oh, this is just unfortunate here. Coming into the hairpin, Hyde runs a bit wide and a bit deep, and Varga tries to come through, taps him around, and then the drivers behind can do very little to avoid it.
Saying that, by the looks of things, no one else really gets into these cars, so that's worked out.
The only other car to really make contact is Scott McCune. He would have gotten a brush of the rear bumper and ended up losing a spot to Damien Cairns. So it's all well and good for him. Minimal damage from that, and he may have lost 1 position, but he gained 2 back.
Back live now, we've got a fight for 7th place. We're starting to come up to us here. This is the real race, Reese Gardner. Funnily enough, yes it is, Brady Baldwin.
I'm an AI-generated Reese Gardner. I was trained on the many years that Reese commentated on SimSpeed. Hopefully I'm providing a realistic rendition of your favourite SimSpeed commentator.
Well, we'll have to critique him, folks. Actually, let's get rid of that one there.
Here we go. Oh, that's deep for Dave Kirby and Michael Stewart. Dean Flavell also going very deep as well. This is pretty magnificent little battle we've got here. Flavell trying his best to hold on. Remember, all of these guys pitted at around the same time under the safety car, so the state of their tyres is entirely down to their driving and any incidents that they've had to avoid. So Flavell evidently not having the best of times here as Stewart's chasing him down. Kirby, who we've got on zoom there in the cockpit, is the 3rd car in this pack. You can't see him right now, but he might just pop out into view. Not quite, but he will try and have a look at Michael Stewart on the way into the carousel.
Blake Delaney has suddenly come into the picture of this pack as well, because he's dropped back into it. As look at that. Flavell's heart rate is definitely on the up. Now on board at the rooftop of Dave Kirby here.
Oh, I know why. Delaney was just way too deep coming into the hairpin, locked up, and lost a few crucial tenths from that. So this is going to be difficult for Delaney, whether or not he'll be able to hold on to this.
Also in the background, race control with a swift and prompt review of an incident for Stephen Varga and Ricky Hyde, and it will be a drive-through penalty for the 868. He's either be cleared here in the race or basically take that one at the end of the race. And speaking of end of the race, final lap already underway here as we've been watching this duel in the middle of the field, in the middle of the top 10, I should say. So they've got 4 kilometres left to sort this one out, Reece. Meanwhile, for Scott Gamble, he's happily already halfway around the lap.
Yeah, indeed he is. I mean, what more can you say about Scott Gamble that we haven't already said this season? He's just got so much pace, so much consistency. Barely anyone else can hold a candle to him this season. He's put so much effort in, and it's paid off. Ken Ladder will still hold on to second place. Looks like Christian Smart not attacking him too much. The real battles are down further in the field. The battle for 6th, the battle for 10th, with Chris Miller still sans rear wing, trying to hold off Griffiths, Crisdale and Poynton. There's so much intensity here on the final lap and the last few opportunities to get your moves done.
Look at that there from Griffiths and Crisdale trying to duke back and forward to sort one out there. So we've got those 2 battle packs in and around the 10. You've got Whiting and Nash here potentially going to scrap it out if that comes any closer. But at the front of the field, Scott Gamble makes it another near flawless week here in the V8 Veterans. He will win your 7th round of the season from Sonoma.
Beautiful drive. Kenneth Latter is going to hold off Christian Smart by nearly a second. Paul Warwick and Travis Hunt, they should be very happy with how their race has gone. And it was almost Blake Delaney losing 6th spot there, but he's just going to finish ahead of Flavelle, Stewart and Kirby to round out the top 9 places. And congratulations to Chris Miller from 16th to 10th and with a damaged car to boot.
Oh, look at this at the end of the race. 8 or so cars, yeah. Scott McCune going to lead home the train, 18th on back. Troy Stone Street for him tragically ends. Oh, out of fuel. Oh, no.
Oh,
insult to injury.
Yeah, insult to multiple injuries, I would say. Oh man, you know, he's been beat up in a boxing ring and then roasted live in front of the crowd. Poor Troy Stone Street. You got to feel for him after starting 13th. He's going to have to settle for 27th at the end of it.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming in that sense tonight, but that is going to do it. Everyone across the line, all 31 starters, to wrap up tonight's action here, Reece. And with that, we'll head to our race results here for round 7 of the RaceKraft Simulations V8 Vets Championship from Sonoma.
Indeed, Scott Gamble, 6 seconds in the end, and what a fantastic gap that is to pull in just the last 15 or so laps after a safety car. Incredible stuff. Latter and Smart will round out the podium. Good stuff there for Christian Smart. Paul Warwick is going to finish in 4th ahead of Travis Hunt, Delaney, Flavelle, Stewart, Kirby and Miller, rounding out the top 10.
And that pack in behind started with Chris Miller, had Robbie Griffiths just in behind him. Rob Crisdale, our biggest mover of the race, up 15 spots to 12th. And joined by his teammate Mark Poynton, making a 10-spot gain to 13th here tonight, with Michael Whiting leading home. David Nash, the next 2 cars there, 14th and 15th. And Paul Burns there settling into P16 by the end of it. And it was Damien Cairns, Scott McCune for 17th, 18th. And yeah, McCune leading it home here tonight from Greg Sharp and Darren Goosey, amongst others in this big old pack, rounding out our top 20.
21st place, Matt Scholes, ahead of Jason Fewens by just under a second. Van der Kraan, he's one of the drivers that we were hoping for more from tonight, but unfortunately speeding into the pit lane, the limiter didn't engage in time, and that is the consequence. 23rd position for him after starting in 4th. Scott McKay, Damon Fisher, 24th and 25th, also losing spots. John Latham, another big heartbreak story, as well as Troy Stone Street. The drivers who started 3rd and 13th having absolute disasters in the second half of the race. Ricky Hyde will finish in 28th position, 8 spots down from where he started. A really chaotic night here at Sonoma, with Varga a late race penalty and Rick Vigor being the last car to finish on the lead lap. Jamie McKnight blowing his motor and bringing out the safety car will ultimately be classified a lap down in 31st and last position. But tell you what, it looks to me like all of the drivers ultimately finished the race, which is certainly worth pointing out.
Yep, they sure did indeed. We are a little quiet in terms of having only 31 starters, but 31 finishes will do the trick as well. And it means we'll now turn our attention to the post-race interviews. And who else would start with our race winner, Mr. Scott Gamble. And we've interrupted this conversation with Ken, but sorry for that one, Scotty. But once again, looking untouchable here tonight. Congratulations on another win here in season 19 of the V8 Veterans.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, it was good to get the win tonight. I'm not feeling the best. I've had a bit of a cold, or slash, if you ask my Mrs. Man flu all week. So yeah, but we're battling through it, and yeah, I was quite surprised tonight. It was good fun, and you know, it's a hard track to overtake, so we had to get up the front and go from there.
I mean, yeah, he's starting from pole once again, getting a qualifying lap in. That really did look hard to beat. John Latham there for a couple of laps at the start, looking like he might have given you some pressure, but what seems to be like a magic touch you've got, you're able to manage the pace and the tyres or whatever it is and just be able to eventually ease out the lead, although that safety car may be obviously a chance for drivers to have another crack at you there in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. John went with me for the first few laps, but I mean, I don't think both of us were pushing too much at that stage. You've got to really build these tyres up and get them to a sort of an operating temperature, an operating range, I guess, and look after them. If you go too early, sometimes it can hurt them and slow you down later. But yeah, John was really fast tonight, and I'm not sure what happened with him. I'll have to watch the broadcast later. But yeah, he had a good turn of pace tonight, which was good to see.
It was, unfortunately for him, entangling with Michael Whiting and then unfortunately spinning and ending up way down the pack. So it was a rough second half. It didn't really line up with what happened in the first half for him this evening. But now coming, not too far from the end of this season, only 3 more weeks left of racing, and it's going to be Suzuka we go to next Thursday night for a slightly longer race. Is that going to be a car track combination you reckon that'll be popular given the amount of long loaded turns that drivers have to worry about, or is it going to make the car feel a little tough on its tyres?
It is a tough track on tyres. You know, that Suzuka absolutely loves downforce. I used to love it with the F1, you know, driving around there. But I mean, the V8s get around there good. There's been some really good racing there, a couple of opportunities to overtake, and you know, a little bit of draft involved. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Going to have to work on it, and like you said, get that flow going around the corners, and you know, see if we can manage the tyres from there.
Well, did it here tonight, Scott. Looking forward to seeing how you go next week. But before we let you go for tonight, who do you want to thank for helping you get it done in the 543?
Yeah, shout out to Ken. He drove well, got himself up into P2, and Christian Smart as well up into P3. Those fishy guys, they always seem to be around there. But yeah, well done to them. Shout out to you guys over at SimSpeed. Thank you very much. I look forward to watching the broadcast later. It was an awesome one last night too at the Logitech Pro Series. And you know, to the drivers, the admin, the sponsors of the league, thank you very much. And also shout out to the 9.5 SimSport guys. We've had a big week, as you guys know. We had the Logitech Pro, so there was a lot of activity going on. But to the sponsors that make it happen over at 9.5, that'd be RaceKraft, Turn-In Apparel, RSW Graphics, Racing Ears, and Prestige Cinematography. Thank you very much for supporting 9.5 SimSport.
Good to hear from you once again, Scott Gamble, your race winner here tonight from Sonoma Reese. And I'll hand to you as we now have a quick chat with our man who comes home in P2, Ken Latta.
Indeed, the driver of the Fishy 269 making his way into the comms box. Congratulations, Ken. Pretty good race from you, up from 5th to 2nd. It must have been tough out there, especially navigating the safety car that came out. How are you finding Sonoma? It's hard work.
Yeah, the work itself was fine. I think during practice, I now realise now that I should have been taking the S's in 5th by the sounds of it, and I was doing it in 4th, and I think that was one of the areas where I was lacking a little bit compared to Scott. Workload-wise, you know, I felt comfortable, you know, but I was definitely just lacking that little bit of pace again, which is annoying.
Well, regardless, you can't be too unhappy with another 2nd place, especially after starting in 5th. So another good haul of championship points. So yeah, I guess just eyes forward for the remaining 3 rounds from here.
That's exactly it. I think just try and enjoy it, and hopefully we can keep saying the same thing over and over again. Get Scotty again. But yeah, like starting at 5th, I was a little bit upset about that because qualifying didn't go anywhere near as well as it should have, and just worked on the strategy a little bit, which helped me get up into the 2nd position tonight.
Well, do you think Suzuka's going to give you the chance there to take the fight to Scotty?
It's been some time since I've been there, but I normally always have pace there, and I know I said that last week as well, but I don't know, he just, every week he's almost like a robot. He's just doesn't really make mistakes, and he's so consistently quick, and just, I don't know, just don't have answers for him at the moment, unfortunately.
Oh, well, we'll put the spotlight back onto you, Ken, because you should definitely be satisfied with 2nd place here at Sonoma. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Well, congratulations to Christian. He was really fast tonight, on 3rd position, and I know he's pretty happy about it. Well done to Scotty as normal. And you guys in Race Control, and our sponsors, West End Motor Group, Infinity Design, DC Shades, Battery Warehouse, Early Beach, Precision Sim Training, and also would like to thank Jamie McKnight for producing quality setups for the series. He's doing a wonderful job, and all the guys at Fishy. Thank you.
And thank you, Ken Latta, finishing 2nd here at Sonoma. Well, Dan, he had praise for Christian Smart, and speaking of Smart, driver of the 999 joins us now.
G'day, guys.
That he does indeed. And, well, Chris, it's been a little while since we had a chance to chat to you, but yeah, just going back to the very start of the night, getting it on P2 for qualifying tonight. How did that feel when that lap came through to kick things off?
Yeah, well, I was pretty stoked with that. Very, very surprised because there's a lot of quick guys in the vets, and I wasn't expecting to get anywhere near there because I've been averaging sort of around the 15-20 mark. But yeah, to put on the front row was a bit daunting, to be honest, and got the nerves, got the better of me there.
Unfortunately, yeah, did drop the spot early on, but certainly able to stick with Ken, and he even had guys behind in the form of Michael and Michael Whiting. Where's he? Unfortunately, Michael's ended up down in 14th place due to the other stuff with John earlier. But yeah, other teammates like Paul Warwick in behind you coming up to P4, and sort of able to sort of control sort of a group there in that top 5 for a stage. Yeah,
it was good to have and be for not once holding anyone up there. Well, I was holding, I think, Scotty Gamble up there for quite a bit, and maybe John there for a few laps, but something happened with John, and unfortunately he dropped back a bit. But it was good to have a battle again with John. It's been a long time, and it was just I was able to get on and do a bit of practice this week, which certainly helps. I haven't been doing much on all the other races, but yeah, it was good.
I mean, yeah, even just real quick, like, yeah, that period there, undercutting Scott in the pit stop and able to stay in front there for a couple of laps. Yeah, how was that? How did that feel? Even though knowing obviously that pit stop's a little bit different, maybe going to adjust things in terms of the ultimate pace of the car, but being able to run and keep in front of him there for a good little couple of laps before the safety car.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I would have rather have sat in the pits and put another few seconds worth of fuel in and been behind him, because last thing I want to do is hold him up, especially in that first stint. And possibly could have been better if I maybe put less fuel in the second stop. But yeah.
Well, Suzuka is up next week, so we sort of trade one twisty turny circuit for a faster but still very twisty and turny circuit. Any thoughts on what that might be like for you and everyone else as we go racing there next week?
Yeah, for sure. Suzuka's is not my favourite track, but it's certainly not my worst. If I manage to get a bit of practice there, I don't mind that track, especially with the high speed turns. They're the corners I like.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you in action in that case, Chris, and hopefully have another chance to chat to you when it happens. Before we let you go here tonight, who do you want to thank for helping you get it done in the 999? Yeah,
firstly, congrats to Scotty Gamble and Kenny on P2, and all the other guys at Racing the Vets, and you guys especially for broadcasting and and all the admin that put on all the work, behind the scenes stuff that you don't see. Thanks to those guys. All my teammates at Fishy there, awesome bunch of guys. And to top it off, you got West End Motor Group, WEMG. You've got Parramatta Peugeot. You've got Parramatta City Haval and West End Mazda Parramatta. You've got quite a few here as well. You got Shao. You got Adrenaline Images and Infinity Design, and Precision Sim Training and Battery Warehouse at Early Beach there, and MJS Gaming. That just about wraps it up, guys. So yeah, and you got Relax, and that's what I'm going to do right now, I think.
Sounds like a good plan.
White, I think it's White Knight Electrical or Whiting Electrical.
Well, there we are. Well, thanks for shouting out all the guys that helped make it possible. Your Fishy, Chris, and have a good night, and hopefully chat to you again before the end of the season.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
We've got ourselves one final interview to conduct here, Reese, as we bring our Chubby Buns Burgers driver of the day into the booth. I'm going to have a chat with Robert Crisdale here after jumping up 15 spots to P12 by the end of this race.
Yeah, fantastic stuff, Rob. You were one of the earliest drivers to take your first pit stop there, and the race just came to you from there. I think this race was defined by who made the least mistakes, really, and who was able to get one up on the competition.
Yeah, that's true. Because I'm not exactly the best qualifier, I'm forced into some alternate strategies, which the last few weeks has paid off. Probably good that Tally's not here either, just pinching my chubby awards, but you know, I'll take it when I can get it. But this track is notorious, as we know, for overtake. So when you're down where I am, it's good to get out of the pack, get some fresh air. That was a strategy I'd planned right from that second day in practice, so stuck to it. The safety car probably fell in my lap as well, so it sort of all played out the way it did, and then just made sure the second stint I didn't spin the wheels up as much and just kept it straight and left some tyres at the end.
Yeah, it must have been stressful for you, and stressful for everyone really out there. Such a tight track, so many elevation changes. You're barely spending any time at all with the wheels straight and on full throttle. I guess you guys must be thankful that the race was a bit shorter than what we usually see.
Yeah. My tyres were starting to go even, and sitting behind the safety car for all those laps. But I've always tried to race a bit straighter in the second stint and try and, because I know you've seen you spin these wheels up with these cars, it's all over the Rover. It takes you a few laps to get it back on. So it all paid out, so it was good.
Indeed it did. Well, floor is yours. Rob, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go celebrate your Driver of the Day award?
Let's out the boys who put up the Chubby Bun Award, put Frog Leapers Racing, to RaceKraft, to SimBriggs, to Pet Door Company, to all those sponsors that for our team, for Frog Leap, we would not be here, so thanks again.
And thank you very much for joining us, Rob Crisdale, as that is going to conclude our broadcast for tonight. Dan, V8 Vets, of course, going to Suzuka next week. Looking forward to that one. I'll be on the comms team for that as well. And it's another track that can be very brutal on tyres. So many long corners here. Yeah,
you thought tonight was a little tough around Sonoma. Basically amp it up by a couple of degrees for Suzuka. Higher speeds, higher loads, and a 200-kilometre race, so more laps and distance to cover as well. Next Thursday, the 9th of May, starting, of course, at 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, as we usually do here.
Indeed we do. Well, that's going to conclude tonight's broadcast here on SimSpeed TV. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining along with us as we brought you a very action-packed race here at Sonoma in the RaceKraft V8 Vets Championship. I'm Reese Gardner, Dan Yeaman, bringing you the broadcast in the first place, and alongside in the comms box from all of us here at SimSpeed TV. We hope you have a lovely evening, and we'll see you next time.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.